of the schools, the PPP schools. The first one was 53 schools, and these schools are already in service now. The second phase is 57 schools distributed on 16 governorates. These schools are the private sector come and finance, design, equip, furnish, maintain, and deliver and provide the service for fees that are agreed upon from the tendering, and these fees are subject to incrementation every year due to the inflation by a virtue of a decree from the minister. And this actually reduced dramatically, because the land is the government and continue to be the government property. After 30 years, the school fully equipped goes back to the government. During this 30 years, we found that these schools are addressing the middle lower class of people who wants to give some kind of good education to their kids. However, they cannot afford the expensive language schools fees. So this kind of schools is addressing this, and they drop down the fees of the tuition fees down to almost 25% of this fee. Next, please. This is a green project. It's turning waste, solid waste or municipal waste, to energy, and these are 8 projects that we are already in the final phase of procurement, expected to be signed within the next 4 to 6 weeks. These are the pilot 8 projects in 8 different governorates, and this transaction actually comes into 3 or 4 contracts. The concession contract between the service provider and the governorate, the connectivity, electric connectivity to the network between the service provider, the governorate, and the company of electricity, and the third is the power purchase agreement between the company, electric company, and the governorate. The cost of the 8 projects are almost 13 billion Egyptian pounds, let me say $700 million. The capacity of each site is 1,000 to 1,200 tons per day. Thank you. Next, please. Another project that we are tendering now, expected to reach financial closure, commercial closure within the next 6 weeks, is strategic warehouses with the Ministry of Supply and Trade. This strategic warehouses will be equipped and structured at the highest level and state-of-the-art technologies, where the private sector will be responsible to build, finance, and fully equip and put all the IT requirements to secure the safe and clean storage areas and storage service to 75,000. The capacity of each warehouse is 75,000 pallets per day. The area of each warehouse is almost 10 fadans, and it will start working within the next 18 months, because it will take something around 18 months of construction. The term of the project is 35 years. Next, please. This is a project actually signed last week. It's the Miata new seaport terminal. It was signed with the Ministry of Transportation. I've mentioned this yesterday. It was a very big international consortium, and it was already signed. It's on the $200 million of investment cost, 30 years the term of the project. The service provider will design, build, finance, operate, utilize, maintain, and transfer the terminal after the term of the contract. Actually, Eurogate, Germany, Conchip, Hapag, Light, all these are the members of the consortium that form the project company and sign the contract. Next, please. These are the projects that we are preparing for tendering by the end of this year. Next. The first one is in New Dimyata city, which is a wastewater treatment plant. It's the second phase of 50,000 cubic meter per day. Expected investment cost is $110 million. And we're already in the final phase of the feasibility study, expected to be tendered out in September 22. This will be the first PPP wastewater treatment plant green project. Inshallah. Next. Sadat dry port, that will be the third dry port in Egypt under the PP as well. This will be dedicated for bulk products, and all the grains will be passed from the Alexandria and the Khela ports, passed directly to this Sadat port, and around 40 silos will be built in this project. Expected to be tendered out end of this year, Q4 2022. Next. New Dimyata dry port is a very small dry port, very close to the Dimyata seaport. However, there are a lot of demand on it. It's very small, 115 fadans, and the term of this project is 15 years, and it will be finalized, closed in Q1 2023, inshallah. Next, please. Desalination project. This is something important. Egypt have prepared a very wide, big plan for the desalination projects up to year 2050. And this plan was broken down into 6 5-year plan. Okay, Egypt capacity in wastewater, in desalination project is around 1.2 million cubic meter per day. Currently, the plant is expecting to reach 7.3 million cubic meter per day. They are allocated. The first batch of projects are in El Hammam, city out north coast, and 3 projects in Safaga, Marsa Alam, and Hurghada. That's on the Red Sea. Next, please. These are the 4 desalination projects. We're already in the pre-feasibility studies. The only thing is the allocation of the land. Once we get the allocation of the land, we'll start tendering it immediately. Next, please. The pipeline. I'll go through it very quickly because right out of time. Beni Suef dry port, another dry port in near the industrial zone in Beni Suef. Logistics center in 6th of October dry city. This is 300 fadans logistics center. It will be adjacent to the first dry port, which will come into service in the Q3 of this year, and this will be tendered Q1 of 2023. Burj Al Arab dry port, another dry port. This is under study, and we expect to be tendered in Q2. That's the seaports. We have 4 seaports or berths or quay walls in Alexandria and the Khela ports. And actually, the Ministry of Transportation yesterday mentioned that the government is building up the quay wall and will leave it to the private sector to do the superstructure and the operation. Next, please. The same, that's dry bulk of the Khela. And that's the Safaga multi-purpose dry port. Again. The last one in our part
bodies. Assalamu alaikum. I feel honored for being invited to the ISDB Group Private Sector Forum organized by member institutions of the Islamic Development Bank Group. This forum is a great platform to networking and establish partnership with different stakeholders and also a share experiences, success histories and best practices, and explore the investment opportunities in infrastructure projects. In this session, I will give you the overview of PPP program in Bangladesh, and I will also share the potential PPP projects to looking for large investment. So before I go to my presentation, project pipeline presentation, I will just